Hello, and welcome back to WEBN Political Pulse. I'm Clara Faulkner.
And I'm Zac Poulin. Let's get into today's top stories in politics. Utah Governor Spencer Cox passed a bill banning diversity, equity, and inclusion programs at state educational and government institutions. The bill prohibits any initiative with diversity, equity, and inclusion in its name. It also outlaws support services that focus on students of certain races or genders. Since 2023, 59 bills to combat DEI efforts have been introduced across the country. 8 of them have become law.
Today, over 800 officials from both the United States and European Union have signed a public letter protesting Israeli policies. The letter states that government policies weaken the ability to stand up for freedom, justice, and global human rights. The signees range from American agencies to national-level officials from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
Donald Trump will stay on the Massachusetts primary election ballot. A judge on the Supreme Judicial Court confirmed that the Ballot Law Commission does not have the authority to remove him from state ballots. This decision comes after Maine and Colorado barred Trump from their state ballots. A judge on the Supreme Judicial Court confirmed that the Ballot Law Commission does not have the authority to remove him from state ballots. This decision comes after Maine and Colorado barred Trump from their state ballots.
Governor Maura Healey's second annual state budget bill proposes $58 billion in total spending. The bill allocates millions of dollars for MBTA operations and low-income fares. Other budget changes include $500 million more for K-12 education than lawmakers initially planned. Healey also plans to file a separate budget to address the shelter crisis in Massachusetts.
The Massachusetts Senate voted in favor of a new gun reform bill on Thursday. The bill aims to prevent ghost guns, expand red flag laws, and prohibit the unlicensed 3D printing of guns. Senator Cindy Cream presented the bill. She stated that, quote, "The bill before us will reduce gun deaths and gun injuries in Massachusetts," end quote. The bill will now return to the House.
Cambridge City Council unanimously voted to pass a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Over 200 residents registered for public comment. This decision follows criticism over the City Council's failure to discuss a resolution in November. Cambridge is the second city in Massachusetts to pass a ceasefire resolution.
After the break, hear about Taylor Swift's potential role in the 2024 election.
And get an update from our election correspondent. Stick with us. Welcome back to Political Pulse. FBI Director Christopher Wray warned that Chinese hackers are positioning to pose critical threats to American infrastructure.
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities.
The head of the National Security Agency also testified in front of the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party. The hearing focused on Chinese access to computer networks in ports, energy plants, and other infrastructure. The Chinese government has previously denied all hacking allegations.
The Biden campaign is reportedly seeking an endorsement from Taylor Swift. Conservative figures are speaking out about her potential involvement. Fox News host Jesse Waters has suggested that Swift is a governmental asset engaged in psychological warfare. Swift has endorsed Democrats in the past, and her encouragement has also increased voter registration. However, she has yet to speak about the upcoming presidential election.
Negotiations between Congress and the Biden administration are heating up regarding the president's national security funding package for Ukraine. His package threatens policy changes that address the crisis at the southwest border. Senate Republicans demand that border security should be added to negotiations, but splits within the party may lead to a bipartisan border deal. And now to Sam Shipman for more on news on the upcoming 2024 election.
Thanks, Clara. Nikki Haley's campaign is releasing new online videos, digital ads, and voter emails in a series called Grumpy Old Men. This content is a part of a push Haley started after the Iowa caucuses to target Biden and Trump's age, saying they're unfit for presidency. Haley, 52, has consistently pictured herself as a new generational leader and called for mental competency tests for candidates who are 75 and older. President Biden spent the night last weekend in South Carolina to maintain a strong voter base in the state. Vice President Kamala Harris will make her third trip in the last month this Friday. This Democratic residency is due to Biden winning the state in the primary 4 years ago. The attention has made South Carolina the first primary on the Democratic presidential calendar. The Supreme Court will hear arguments about Donald Trump's potential removal from primary ballots. Those arguing for Trump's inability to appear on ballots cite the 14th Amendment provision. The provision forbids officials from holding office if they took part in insurrection. This decision could impact efforts to keep Trump off the ballots in other states. That's all for election news, and back to you at the desk.
On Wednesday, members of the Senate Judiciary Committee accused 5 social media executives of creating a child safety crisis in America.
Their constant pursuit of engagement and profit over basic safety have all put our kids and grandkids at risk.
Technology's impact on children has united Republican and Democratic lawmakers. The 3.5-hour hearing addressed mental health, child sexual exploitation, and drug sales via social media apps. Many parents of children impacted were also present, alongside bipartisan legislators.
President Biden has named John Podesta the senior advisor on the president's international climate policy. John Kerry is stepping down as special presidential envoy for climate since the position's creation. Podesta is set to continue working on international climate policy in coordination with the State Department.
The House Homeland Security Committee approved 2 articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
Secretary Mayorkas' actions have forced our hand. We cannot allow this border crisis to continue. We cannot allow fentanyl to flood across our border, or criminals to waltz in undeterred.
Mayorkas is accused of refusing to uphold the law and breaching public trust by failing to address migrant surges at the U.S.-Mexico border. If impeached, Mayorkas would be the first cabinet secretary indicted by the House in nearly 150 years. Mayorkas contested both charges.
After the break, hear about the sentencing of the former Pakistani Prime Minister.
And hear from our international correspondent. Stick with us.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
Welcome back to Political Pulse.
On Tuesday, former Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan was sentenced to 10 years in prison for a case involving state secrets.
Yeah, Pakistan's former leader Imran Khan, as well as his wife, have been sentenced to 14 years in prison. Now, Khan has been behind bars since August, and his wife, the former First Lady, is now in police custody.
On Wednesday, he was sentenced to 14 years in a different case involving state gifts. His wife, Bushra Bibi, also received a 14-year sentence. Both of them are forbidden from holding office for 10 years. This comes just over a week before Pakistan's national election. Khan's lawyers plan to appeal.
On Wednesday, United States citizens filed a lawsuit claiming the Hamas-led Israel massacre on October 7th was, quote, masterminded and funded by the Islamic Republic of Iran. A former United States military and intelligence officer says the tactics behind the attack indicate a significant role played by Iran in the assault.
And now to Caroline Kenyon for more on international news.
Thanks, Zach. Iran promised to, quote, decisively respond, unquote, to any U.S. attacks on the Islamic Republic on Wednesday. This proclamation follows the deaths of 3 U.S. soldiers at a military base in Jordan on Sunday. Concerns are being raised at what American attacks in the Middle East could mean for the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Both Russia and Ukraine have exchanged roughly 200 prisoners of war each. It marks the 50th exchange since the beginning of the war, which began nearly 2 years ago. The Ukrainian prisoners included members of the armed forces, National Guard, Border Service, and National Police. The swap comes after a January 24th Russian plane crash that Russia claims was carrying Ukrainian prisoners of war. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected 2 Hamas demands for a ceasefire. He refused to withdraw from the Gaza Strip or release jailed militants. Netanyahu said Tuesday that the war would only end with Israel's, quote, complete victory, unquote, over Hamas. The conflict has only grown more intense after Israel's raid on a hospital in the West Bank. That's all for international news. Back to you at the desk.
In Sweden, a so-called live object was found outside of the Israeli embassy. The National Bomb Squad was called and chose to destroy the object. The Israeli ambassador labels the incident an attempted attack. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson says the situation was very serious. Police are not sure who planted the device, but they are investigating and have tightened surveillance around the embassy and Jewish institutions.
CIA Director William Burns said that Ukraine is facing a test of power against Russia. The United States is providing aid to Ukraine during the war, and Burns is in the support of the funding. He argues that keeping up arms and deliveries in Ukraine will lead to Russia's long-term defeat. Burns claims to the key to success preserving Western aid for Ukraine.
On Monday, French farmers blocked the main roads in and out of Paris with their tractors, protesting low wages, competition from imports, and strict regulations from the European Union.
The European regulations that have only gotten tougher, the competition that they're fighting from cheap imports to the European Union have all simply become too much.
Last week, France's new Prime Minister Gabriel Attal offered concessions to farmers in southern France. Many said it was not enough. On Monday, Attal announced he would meet their demands.
Iran's Revolutionary Guards say they are not looking for war following President Biden's response to a weakened drone attack that killed 3 American soldiers and injured more than 40 others in Jordan. Iranian-backed militias are speculated to be behind the attacks. Iran has denied ordering attacks on United States forces and says the U.S. should, quote, stop using the language of threats and focus on achieving a political solution.
Want to ride like royalty? Now you can for a little over $250,000. A Range Rover used by Queen Elizabeth II is up for auction. This is the 3rd time that the car is being sold. It is currently priced at over $280,000, so you better start saving.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching WEBN Political Pulse.
For more, check out our website, WEBN.TV. I'm Zac Poulin.
And I'm Clara Faulkner. Have a great day.